Dear students, welcome to Doctor's Academy for Taxation and Accounting. This is the third video that we are releasing under the topic income from other sources. In the video 1, we have discussed the various items that to be dealt under the head other sources. Second video, that is video number 67, we have discussed the definition and the taxability of dividend. And in this video, we will be discussing some other important points related to other source of income. First point is winning from lotteries, crossword puzzles, card games, and other games, gambling, betting, or any other nature, races, including horse races, without deducting any expenses or allowances, shall be included in other source of income. The important point is no exemption is available from these type of incomes. Second point is fund of employees. Sums received by the assessee from his employees or deducted from their salaries as contribution to any provident fund or superannuation fund or any fund under the Employees State Insurance Act 1948 or any other fund for the welfare of such employees, but if the employer deposits the amount within the prescribed time in the employee's fund account, it will not be taxed from the hands of the employer, and it will be first be included in his income and then it will be deducted. And the second point is hire of machinery, plant, etc. Income from machinery, plant, or furniture belonging to the assessee and let on hire. If this income is not chargeable to the income tax under the head profits and gains of business or profession, it will be taxed under the head income from other sources. If the business as a whole is let out, the income, that is the rent, would be accessible as income from other sources. If only the commercial assets are leased out, the income would be taxable under the head income from business or profession. Hire of machinery, plant, and building not separately. If an assessee lets on hire machinery, plant, or furniture belonging to him, and also buildings, and the letting of the buildings is inseparable from the letting of the said machinery, plant, or furniture, the income of such letting, if it is not chargeable under the head income from profits and gains of business or profession, then it will be taxed under the head other sources. Interest on Kisan Vikas Patra. Interest on such Vikas Patra is taxable under the head income from other sources. Interest accrued every year is calculated on the basis of a table. Interest on National Saving Certificate 8th issue and 9th issue. The interest on NSCs is taxable under the head income from other sources. It is calculated on the basis of a table. Interest on securities. The income from interest on securities shall be chargeable to tax under the head income from other sources if it is not taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession. This interest is taxable under the head income from other sources if securities are held as investments, and it is taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession if securities are held as stock in trade. Meaning of security. The term security has not been defined in this Income Tax Act. However, in common parlance, the term security means a document acknowledging the debt taken by the government or some other authority for the general public. It is held by an investor or creditor as guarantee of his right to receive payment. Meaning of interest on securities. The following amount due to an assessee in the previous year shall be chargeable to income tax as interest on securities. Interest on security of the central or state governments. Second, interest on debentures or other securities issued by a local authority. Third, Interest on debentures issued by a company, whether it is Indian company or a foreign company, and interest on debentures or other securities issued by a statutory corporation. Basis of charge of interest on security. Interest on securities does not accrue from day to day, but become due on certain fixed dates only, which are mentioned on the securities. Interest on securities is chargeable to tax on the basis of the accounting period. That is, maybe cash system or maybe through mercantile system, which is followed by the assessee. However, where no method of accounting is regularly employed by the assessee, the income from interest on securities shall be chargeable to tax as the income of the previous year in which it becomes due, though it may be received later. Where the assessee adopts cash system of accounting, the interest will be taxed on receipt basis. If an interest has not been received in that year, it will not be taxed in the previous year when it has become due only. So depending on the cash system or mercantile system which is adopted by the assessee would be considered for the taxation of interest on security. If the assessee is adopting cash system, then the interest on security will be taxed on the basis of receipt. If the assessee is using mercantile system, then on due basis it will be taxed. If the assessee is not consistent on the method of accounting system, whether it is cash system or mercantile system, under this situation, the security interest will be taxed on due basis. Cum interest and ex interest transactions. When securities are bought or sold between two interest date, the transaction is either cum interest or on ex interest. Whatever be the nature of the transaction, the rule is that interest on securities is regarded as wholly the income of the person who happens to be the owner at the time when the interest becomes due, irrespective of whether he was the owner throughout the period of which the interest is paid or not, and also whether the transaction has been cum interest or ex interest. The principle also applies when the interest becomes due after a person's death. A part of such interest apportioned to the period up to the date of the death cannot be treated as income of the deceased. Next point is kind of securities. Securities are classified into four types. One is tax-free government securities. Second is less tax government securities. Third is tax-free commercial securities and less tax commercial securities. Let us discuss each of these items in detail. Tax-free government securities are those in the interest in which is fully exempt from tax under section 10 subsection 15. Interest on such securities is neither included in total income nor it is taxed. Second is less tax government securities. Such securities are issued either by the central government or by the state government. These are taxable securities, but no tax is deducted at source on such securities. The amount received or due, as the case may be, shall be included in the total income of the assessee. But there is an exemption. Tax shall be deducted at the source on interest on savings, taxable bonds 2003 if the interest payable exceeds 10,000 during the financial year. The third one is tax-free commercial securities. These are securities issued by a local authority or statutory corporation or a company in the form of debentures or bonds. Really speaking, their interest is not tax-free, because tax due on this interest is payable by the company or the local authority or the corporation concerned. These are called tax-free because the assessee has not to pay tax on the income. The tax paid by the company on this interest is deemed to have been paid on behalf of the assessee. Hence, the amount of tax paid on any interest due to an assessee is added up in his interest income. That is, the interest due to an assessee grossed up, and then this grossed up amount is included in his income. the amount of tax paid by the company on this interest is deducted from the total tax payable by the assessee. For example, if a company has issued 10% tax-free debentures, the debenture holders will receive entire amount of interest calculated at the rate of 10%, but the amount to be included in the total income of the debenture holder will be the amount actually received by him as interest plus the income tax paid thereon by the company. Less tax commercial securities. These may be called taxable securities. In the case of these securities, income tax is deducted at the source on the amount of interest calculated at the percentage stated on the securities, and the balance of the amount of the interest left after deduction of the aforesaid income tax is paid to the security holder. If the rate percent of interest is given, it is not grossed up as it is already the gross amount of interest, and income tax is to be deducted therefrom. If in the case of these security, the net amount of interest received is given, it has got to be grossed up. In any case, it is the gross amount of interest that is included in the total income of an assessee. The rules regarding grossing up of interest on security. If the rate of interest is given, only the interest on tax-free commercial securities is grossed up, and interest on all other securities are not grossed up. Interest on tax-free commercial securities is always grossed up whether its rate percent is given or the amount received is given. Interest on less tax securities is grossed up when the amount received is given. Bond washing transactions. It is a device to avoid tax by a high income group of assessee by transferring securities to low income class of assessees on the eve of the due date of interest. Generally, interest on securities is payable half yearly or yearly, and these dates are fixed. As the whole amount of interest is regarded as the income of the person who happens to be the owner at the time when the interest become due, some tactful person sells their securities a few days before the due date of interest to some other person, maybe their friends or relatives, and then buy them back after a few days, the expiry of the due date of interest. Thus, they do not remind the owner of the security on the due date of interest, and they are not required to pay tax on the income from the interest on securities. They sell their securities to such persons whose total income, including the income from interest on securities, either does not exceed the minimum taxable limit, or if it is exceeds that limit, it is lesser than that of the seller, so that either no tax will be payable on the interest on it, or it will be paid in a lower rate. Thus, the seller escapes tax completely, and the buyer also does not pay tax on it as his income is below the minimum taxable limit. And if the buyer's income exceeds the minimum taxable limit, he will pay a lower tax. In fact, secretly paid by the seller on behalf of the buyer. Thus, by this device, the income tax department suffers loss of revenue. In order to prevent this device of avoiding tax, it has been provided that the assessing officer can include such an income from interest on securities in the total income of the person who actually the owner of the security and who wants to escape tax by adopting the device. So we can say that the bond washing transaction is not a real transaction. It is just an act of buying or selling of these securities. It is for avoiding the tax. It is evasion of tax. So the assessing officer have the power to include these transactions with the income of the person who sells the asset. There are certain exemptions given. The assessing officer shall not apply the above inclusion process if the assessee proves to the satisfaction of the assessing officer that there has been no avoidance of income tax. If the assessee proves that the avoidance of income tax is exceptional and not systematic, and there was no avoidance of income tax in any of the 3 preceding years. In connection with such a transaction, the assessing officer has the power to enforce the assessee to furnish the required information. Based on that, he can decide whether it is his own income or the income of the other person, that is the buyer. Next point is commission on purchase and sale of securities. Commission or other expenses incurred in respect of purchase or sale of securities and not deducted from interest on securities. Such expenses payable at the time of purchase of the securities are included in the cost of securities, while such expenses payable on the sale of securities are deducted from the selling price of the securities. So, commission paid in connection with sales as well as purchase can be deducted from the selling price. Profit on sale of securities. If the purchase and sale of securities is not the business of the assessee and he holds the securities as an investment to earn interest thereon, the profit on sale of securities is a capital gain and is taxable under section 45. If the purchase and sale of securities is the business of the assessee, then the profit on sale of securities is taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession. For the purpose of determining profit or loss on sale of securities, expenses incurred in connection with the sale of securities are allowed as deductible expenses. Now let us discuss interest on securities received by certain types of assessees are fully exempted. One is interest on securities received by a local authority. Second is trustees of statutory provident fund or recognized provident fund and approved superannuation fund is exempted according to section 1025. Approved scientific research association receives any interest on security according to section 1021, it is exempted. Any interest on securities received by a registered trade union as per section 1024, it shall be exempted. Members of scheduled tribes living in tribal area according to section 1026, any interest on securities received by them shall be exempted. Public charitable and religious trust as per section 11, if interest on securities received shall be exempted. The same if it is received by the political party as per section 13A shall be exempted. Non-resident on securities as notified by the central government as per section 10 subsection 4B shall be exempted if they are in receipt of any interest on securities. Now let us see certain exempted interest on securities or interest on bonds or deposits. First, let us see the exempted interest for all types of assessee. First one is 12-year National Savings Annuity Certificate shall be exempted. National Defence Gold Bond 1980 shall be exempted. Special Bearer Bonds 1991 shall be exempted. Treasury Saving Deposit Certificate 10 years exempted. Post Office Cash Certificate taken for 5 years exempted. National Plan Certificate taken for 10 years shall be exempted. National Plan Saving Certificates taken for 12 years shall be exempted. Post Office National Saving Certificate, either it is taken on 12 years or 7 years maturity, shall be exempted. Post Office Savings Bank account shall be exempted provided in the case of an individual account maximum of 3,500 rupees shall be exempted, and if it is a joint account a maximum of 7,000 rupees shall be exempted. Post Office cumulative tie deposit taken for 15 years is exempted. Fixed deposit scheme governed by the government saving certificate as per Rule 1968 shall be exempted. Fixed deposit scheme governed by the Post Office Fixed Deposit Rule 1968 shall be exempted. Special Deposit Scheme 1981 taken by the assessee is exempted. Public account in Post Office up to rupees 5,000 shall be exempted. So we have discussed exemption for all types of assessee. Now let us discuss the exemption for individuals and Hindu undivided family type of assessees. They are exempted for interest on securities on 7% capital investment bond shall be exempted. Next is for non-resident Indians. Interest received by non-resident Indians from notified bonds, that is NRI bonds 1988 issued by the State Bank of India, shall be exempted. Interest received by an individual owning the above bonds by virtue of a nominee shall be exempted. Or interest received by an individual on the above bonds who has received the bonds by way of gift from the NRI shall be exempted. The next point is interest on notified bonds or debentures of public sector companies. And the last point is interest on securities held by the Welfare Commissioner of Bhopal gas victims in the Reserve Bank of India's SGL account number SL/DH048 also shall be exempted. Through this video, we have discussed some other important points required for the computation of income from other sources. Hope this piece of information is going to be useful for you. If it is, kindly share it with your friends and others in your contact. Thank you very much for watching Doctor's Academy for Taxation and Accounting.